A controversial bill that would alter the way criminal defendants are released from jail is scheduled to be debated today on the floor of the Texas House. House Joint Resolution 4 would authorize magistrates and judges to deny bail for people accused of violent offenses. I'm Anna Summersett, and welcome to VS News Desk. Here's some commentary on the legal news making headlines on May 11, 2021. As a criminal defense attorney, I believe that House Joint Resolution would be bad law for Texas citizens and criminal practitioners alike. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about how the bail system works and how this proposed legislation would change it. First, let's hear from Governor Greg Abbott on what he calls the broken bail system.
A broken bail system that recklessly allows dangerous criminals back out onto our streets.
Now, what Governor Abbott's statement would have you believe is that the bail system is exclusively for criminals, and specifically violent criminals. That's simply not true. The bail system applies to every citizen accused of a criminal offense. Let me explain a little bit about what that means. To be accused of a criminal offense in Texas, law enforcement only needs something they call probable cause to arrest you. It could be an on-view offense that they believe that they have enough evidence to take you in, or it could be based upon information they gather together and put into an arrest warrant. Either way, when we look at it on a scale of 0% certainty that something happened to 100% certainty that something happened, probable cause is less than 50%. That means that law enforcement doesn't even have to have enough evidence to believe it's more likely than not that you committed a crime in order to arrest you for a criminal offense. Now, law enforcement would say a lot of times they do have more than probable cause. That's just the minimum standard. And they have such a low standard for the initial arrest because sometimes violent offenders need to be pulled off the streets on very little evidence as an investigation continues. But what about everybody else? Think about who this bill would encompass. Not just those persons who are accused of capital murder, but maybe the wife who's in the kitchen making dinner, gets into an argument with her husband while holding a knife, says something threatening. We're now looking at an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That's a second-degree felony. It would fall under this joint House resolution for being denied bail. Now the housewife is not coming home to take care of her children. Her husband or family members can't post bail for her. She'll be held there until a prosecutor decides what to do with her case or until she has her day in court. Think about a high school senior, 19 years old, who is dating a high school freshman who is just about to turn 16. They have a consensual sexual relationship. Mom and dad find out. Now, all of a sudden, you're dealing with a sexual assault of a child under the age of 17. That would be included under this bail reform. That 19-year-old high school student would be denied bail until prosecutors decided what to do or until he met his day in court. I want you to think about what if this had happened in the last year, if this was being proposed while individuals were waiting for their day in court during a pandemic. There haven't been jury trials, for the most part, in Tarrant County and certainly across the state of Texas for over a year while the pandemic raged on. So now you have people being held without bail, and you have people not being able to exercise their right to a jury trial. And they're just wasting away on what may be very little evidence or what may not be a very serious violent offense at the end of the day, regardless of how it's charged. But I think what Governor Abbott and some of the proponents of this bill fail to recognize is that we still have the presumption of innocence in this country. That means that even if you are accused of a vicious and violent offense, you are presumed innocent until you plead guilty and waive your right to a jury trial, or until a judge or a jury finds you guilty based upon the evidence. And that standard of proof is much higher than probable cause. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. Not 100% certainty, but pretty close. The last thing that we want to see are people who are falsely accused of a crime, which I've personally experienced in the past month as a criminal practitioner, a client falsely accused of a very serious second-degree felony. And under this bail reform, he would have been denied bail. And it took the state doing their due diligence, which took a matter of months, to figure it out. And once they did, the charges were dropped, thankfully for him. But can you imagine if during those 3 months he was waiting in jail, not being granted bail, because he's not being granted that presumption of innocence while the state irons out the investigation that law enforcement has done? Those are the types of people this bail reform is going to victimize. It's going to create a whole host of problems. That's not to say violent offenders shouldn't be held in custody if it's for the benefit and the safety of the greater community at large or the individualized victim in a case. The bail process already considers those things. There is a risk assessment that can be done to evaluate their propensity for violence. They can have hearings that take into account the individuals who were involved in the case and what their personal opinion or belief is. They can also take into account whether the individual is a flight risk. Those things don't go away because we decided to start denying people bail. Just something for you guys to consider. If you're interested, please call your representative and let them know your opinion on the joint House resolution it is going to be debated today at 10 a.m. Central. If you have additional comments, you can comment below and we'll try to answer any questions that you have. That's it for VS News Desk, the place you turn to for the latest legal news. For more information, be sure to read about this on our VS News Desk blog on our website, versus texas.com. I'm Anna Summersett, and thanks for watching.